Now on Talking Solutions, this year's 2018 Sci Fest, welcoming Chris Palladino in charge of this whole thing. Also Maria Gotti with MGM Resorts, Kevin Geraghty with NV Energy, and Dana Holleran with the March for Science. Chris Palladino, you're the one I need to talk to first because you're the guy who makes this whole thing happen. We're glad to have you back.
Thanks. I'm excited about being here. Excited about Science Festival this year.
The only downside to doing a discussion on Sci Fest is that there's no way we can cover everything that is part of Sci Fest.
Not enough time unless you have a 6-hour show. There's about 45 events in those 9 days, so to cover all of them would take some time.
Well, last year I was thinking like mid to upper 30s, so you've obviously added even more events.
We're up in our game every year.
A lot of people just don't understand exactly what this gem is that happens every year right in our midst. That is Sci Fest.
It's the largest educational event in the state. We plan on serving at least 50,000 people this year in our community, in an area that our community has trouble keeping up with, and that's science and technology, education-wise. So we are going to create these programs and offer these programs to kids and families to show that science is approachable, science is everywhere, and allow them to actually see and feel and experience it.
Well, we have a lot of discussions about STEM education. It's where the jobs are. It's where the future exists. And we just need to get through to our kids and make them understand this is what you're going to love doing. We just need to ignite more interest in the STEM fields. And that's what Sci Fest does for a lot of people.
Absolutely. The number of STEM jobs in our community is growing rapidly. The amount of STEM education, the amount of kids who are coming out of high school going into college that are choosing these STEM fields has been stagnant over the years. As a matter of fact, in some areas they've declined. Outside of medical, they've declined. So it really makes it hard on our economy to have to pull people from other markets. But the reality is that's not just a Las Vegas thing, it's a national thing. And where we're at in education, being 50th in the country in education and then looking at nationally where we are in education, it's tough that we're lacking in these fields because the jobs coming out of college for these kids are very well-paying jobs. They're in the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year straight out of college, which is pretty good.
We all want our Nevada kids to be the ones who take those great jobs, as opposed to, like you said, having to import people to do the jobs from wherever they might originate. We want our kids to be trained to do these jobs.
Absolutely. And then you see the companies that are coming in because of the tax incentives and because of all the things that the government gives them. We're going to see more and more of these technology companies come into the valley. So we really need to push the limits of what we're doing in science.
I think people would be surprised from the outside to understand how much there is as far as technology in Southern Nevada. We got a lot. There's more in Northern Nevada. The whole state really could be served by kids who understand things. But Sci Fest is a great opportunity to ignite that interest in kids so that they pursue those things. And it's a family event.
It is a family event. The great part about Sci Fest is that we hit all ages from elementary up to college. Our main goal is, again, to show that science is approachable and that science is everywhere. We have a great day called Science is Everywhere Day that opens our community up to a lot of organizations and a lot of companies. These companies get to show off their science. And it's really kind of fun for these kids to go in and see how the Bellagio fountains work, to see how NV Energy works, to go to the RJ and see how the paper's made. We have a ton of places. We'll have about 40 places that day. We go over to UMC and see how the trauma center works. It's just fascinating for these kids to be able to see how this stuff happens.
And it's going to happen during the second half of April all the way into May. Sci Fest just keeps growing.
Yep. Our first event that we're sponsoring is April 14th with the March for Science. The festival itself officially kicks off on April 27th at CSN, their Science Expo, and goes all the way to May 5th, which is our giant expo at World Market Center.
So much to do. And fun things for families. There's a website where we can find out about everything that's going on.
Yep. scifest.vegas is a constantly changing website. Also, if you like our Facebook page at the Las Vegas Science Technology Festival, you see a lot of updates. And we have a lot of great speakers this year. That's what I'm really, really excited about. Just a very diverse lineup of activities for everybody to do.
Well, we'll make sure that the links for the websites, your Facebook page, and all of that are included on the Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with a podcast of our discussion.
Great.
Chris, you've brought some other guests in with you.
I have.
Kevin Geraghty from NV Energy. We had a discussion about this same topic last year. NV Energy sponsors Sci Fest.
Absolutely.
And Chris Palladino just mentioned that NV Energy will also be included as one of the events for this year's Sci Fest.
Yeah, we open our doors to the community to see certain areas of our business. The last 2 years, it's been the team that actually monitors what makes the electricity in the state, the power plants that keep our lives reliable, keep the electricity flowing.
Well, as a part of the group that puts on Sci Fest and makes it possible for everybody, these events are free. I love that. One of the reasons I would suppose that NV Energy is part of this is because we want to ignite that spark of learning in kids to fulfill the jobs that you have available with NV Energy.
And it's not just our jobs, but the jobs of businesses that want to locate to Nevada. You mentioned a growing technology center. There's some bright lights in the state when you think about Switch here in Southern Nevada and Tesla in Northern Nevada, Apple, which is making a great presence, the e-commerce hub that's really building in North Las Vegas. All these groups, when they come to Nevada, of course, love the economy, love the cost, love the ease of doing business. One concern continues to be, do we have the educational foundation to continue producing STEM-related jobs? So they're not just jobs at NV Energy, but across the spectrum of those companies that are coming here, and including the existing companies, all of which are getting all that more technologically advanced. The Internet of Things is taking over everything that we do, even some of the most common aspects of our lives, and having not just kids, but our entire community aware of the need for STEM is important, because while this is focused on kids, we have to get the complete community engaged in understanding that it's a sustainability issue to keep our communities vibrant.
Kevin Geraghty with NV Energy, it's kind of a stumbling block for us, for companies that are coming to Southern Nevada or our state in general to relocate, because of the fact that we do rank so low on national rankings for our educational system. I know we're always trying to do anything we can to get those numbers up and to improve performance. Certainly one of the best things we could all do together is encourage more participation in STEM-related programs.
It really is. And when you measure it overall, probably Southern Nevada, we're lacking, but we have a lot of upside. But we have incredibly bright lights as well. When you think in our town, we have one of the most competitive robotics programs, not just in the state, not just in our country, but internationally. When you look at Cimarron Memorial, it's just incredible what can be done with just a little bit of support and resources from the community. And things like that are happening, whether it's in drones and a few other areas of the community. It just takes a spark. It just takes a few really good lights, and for people to actually see those and understand that they're part of our community, because a lot of people may just not be aware of some of those fantastic things and only aware of some of the negative things.
Absolutely. I was so excited to have CSN in last year talking about their new drone degree program. This is not just the one that you got under the tree for Christmas to take pictures of the family and the house and the yard and the dog. It is drones for commercial use. There's a wide range of applications, and there's a lot of jobs out there to be had.
It's really one of the growing fields. It's great that Nevada is a proving ground at a federal level, but so many companies are fleeing into the state to support that and finding solutions. I mean, everybody hears about the Google or the Amazons with the home delivered packages, but there are so many other things just in our business, inspecting power lines and doing that faster, more effectively, getting more data and helping us make sure we're keeping our systems reliable and spending the right amount of money at the right amount of time, being highly efficient. They are finding solutions every day with drones, and that is an incredibly growing part of our business. It's one of the reasons why I think one of the most interesting events we have is the discussion on artificial intelligence, because that's going to be part of the life of the kids today that are going through school. Artificial intelligence, we need to understand more about it.
Yeah, on May 1st, we have an author named James Barrett coming in. His talk is about the promise and peril of artificial intelligence. So really both ends of the spectrum. Heard a lot of people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking talking about controlling the growth of artificial intelligence, and it's a fascinating area tied into what Kevin was talking about.
Chris Palladino, I think when we start talking about artificial intelligence, people get down to their own house saying, is my Echo Dot also using AI technology?
Your electronic toothbrush uses AI technology in reality. Anything that plugs in and works on command, but we're at a growing point today that things are happening. There was an article that came out about two computers at Facebook that started talking to each other in a language that we as humans don't understand. So these two computers that were networked together created their own language to be able to more effectively communicate than the code that we gave them. That's the beginning of a lot of science fiction movies.
Those are the scary ones.
That's one of the events that we have. The other event I'm really super excited about is on May 2nd, and it's our Women in STEM panel. We talked about it last year, that this year was going to be our focus. And on May 2nd, we're bringing in 10 women in different aspects of STEM education to talk about why they chose that education, some of the roadblocks that they encountered, and basically how their lives have changed creating that STEM background and education for themselves. That event is being sponsored by the Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada. It's just a totally fun event. It's at the Windmill Library on May 2nd.
This really is the year of women. I'm always disturbed when I hear that girls at a certain part in their development suddenly don't think STEM is cool anymore. It's the coolest thing out there.
A couple of years ago, the statistics were ridiculously low. It was 12% of graduating high school girls were choosing STEM majors, and only 8% of them actually continued that major going on through college. That's just too low. We actually have a psychologist from UNLV who's going to be on our panel, and that is her specific area. Dr. Robnett is finding out the reasons why there is that gap and why those decisions are being made, and anything that we can do to promote everybody. There's a lack of women in the fields, but everybody take that stigma that it's too hard or there's too much education or, there's not a good paying job or whatever that is, and really force kids to look at those diverse areas of education.
Those arguments don't hold water because they're just not true.
They don't.
It's just a matter of us getting girls involved.
Having the Girl Scouts involved this year is just super exciting for us because, it really goes hand in glove with our message and their message, promoting education and getting girls excited about their futures.
In Studio A today for Talking Solutions, we have numerous guests all talking about Sci Fest. Maria Gotti is with us from MGM Resorts. Also involved in this year's Sci Fest?
Yes, we've been involved for about 4 years now, and it's a pleasure to be part of something that people didn't really think happened in our city. I work for an amazing company. Our focus has always been hospitality. And talking to kids, you actually get the notion that they don't think hospitality has science or hospitality has technical jobs. So when you bring them out and they get to see all the work that goes into getting that amazing show like the Bellagio fountains, we have people all over the world come in to stand in front of those fountains to see those fountains dance to the sound of music. The technology behind that, it's incredible. So when you open the back of the house and you let those kids in, they get to see that there's an opportunity and science is not scary. It's beautiful and you can reach it. You can become anything you want. And the Bellagio fountains is one example of the things they get to see. It's funny when we go into schools and talk to kids, they don't necessarily see anything outside of restaurants and hotel rooms, but when you bring them out and you take them to the shark reef and they all of a sudden realize that we have marine biologists living in the desert. We have to take care of all the sea animals and you can be one of those. It's getting kids excited that makes it worthwhile. And the other side is when we first started getting engaged, something interesting happened to us. We were at a school doing some volunteer work and all of a sudden realized that some of those kids in the inner cities have never been to the Strip. They've never been to what we all know as this beautiful street full of lights and life. And so allowing the program and partnering with the Science Festival and the school district and all the people that come on board allows us to bring kids to their backyard so they can see firsthand what this amazing city has to offer while learning about what an education can get them. So it's a pleasure to be part of it. We're happy to do it again next year too, so I can commit for that too.
Perfect.
Already booked. We're setting you up for 2019.
It's all about education. So if people can see that our city has more than just a big hospitality industry, which we're blessed to have, if we can get them excited about science, our jobs do require employees to be a little technology savvy. Hospitality is not all we do, but even then, there is now technology that's used to check in people, technology that's used to, close your shutters
for
at
everything.
The hotel. Yes, there's about everything and anything. So it's interesting to bring the city that no one really thinks, like you said, 50th in the country, and bring all the components together. We should be very proud of the work and supporting 50,000 families. It's an incredible number to put out there.
I just was thinking about what you said, Maria, and that is that there are kids in the city who have never been to the Strip. So you get them out to find out how the iconic Bellagio fountains operate and find out about things, as you mentioned, like the shark reef and the day-to-day things that make it all work.
Yeah.
For the kind of resorts that we have here in Las Vegas, knowing that our resorts have such a low water usage in all of these thousands of rooms? How do you keep track of the guests? How do you keep the clean towels and sheets? How do you keep it all in order? It's all got to do with technology.
Correct. Even the most simple, straightforward jobs require technology in today's world. And so being able to make kids understand that it's not so hard. It's something that they can become very successful at, and the state needs it. In order for us to diversify our economy and bring all these other players into our communities, we really need to get kids excited about science and put every effort as a community to make sure that we are continuously pushing information out about what we need and how important it is that they're educated correctly.
Today on Talking Solutions, we are discussing the upcoming Sci Fest. 45 events, free, great for the whole family. I mean, this is the sort of thing you really want to get out your calendar and map this out, because there are so many cool things that happen as part of Sci Fest, and they're free and they're wonderful. But there are so many things going on. You better pick and choose and get yourself set up. There will be certain events, if I recall correctly from last year, that are somewhat limited as far as the room, like for the sessions that you might have at Clark County libraries. We may have auditoriums that only have room for so many people for presentations.
Yeah, a majority of our events have a registration to it. We do have some open houses. Go to scifest.vegas, register there. And we do that to make it manageable for the companies and organizations who are donating their time. You know, MGM, they're giving us 5 different venues in that one day. That's a great donation on their part, and to make it manageable for them is important for us as well. NV Energy, I believe your tours are all throughout that day as well, and we have about 32 on Sciences Everywhere Day alone. We need to keep it organized, but also it gives everybody a chance to see a little bit of everything. So it just makes it fun for the whole family that way.
You just need to pick and choose, and the registration that we're talking about for the events with Sci Fest is just so that we don't show up at the last minute with, an extra 10,000 people. You got room for that, right?
We've seen what feels like 10,000 show up for certain events, and the more that we can be organized, the better experience it is for the people that are coming. Just to be able to know how many people are coming is pretty cool.
When you start looking at all of the events that are coming up as part of this year's Sci Fest, I'll get one of the brochures and just start checking, wow, I'd love to see this and this and this and this. There are so many great things, and families are always looking for fun things to do. Here you go, dozens of them. Plus, we've got that wonderful side benefit that your kids may just ignite with learning and curiosity about something that can provide for them for the rest of their lives.
And 2 of the events that we've added aren't necessarily Sci Fest events, but we're helping out with and helping promote and sponsor. One of them is the March for Science on April 14th, and the other is the UNLV Engineering Senior Project Day on May 4th. This is where people that are going to UNLV before they graduate get to show off their projects. And that's where you've seen things like not only really cool drones and robots, but Haley's Hand.
That's what I was thinking about.
Came out of that project, and 2 different variations, what I've heard for this year at that expo. Again, we're not doing a lot for Science Festival, but those 2 events are very important to us, very important to the community, both open to the public, which a lot of people I don't think would have gone down to see the senior project events. Teaming up with March for Science this year to build that movement is important to us as well.
You might have seen Haley on the news or on your favorite sporting event. I saw her at the Golden Knights game, and the UNLV Engineering Department designed a prosthetic hand for her. She was doing the puck drop. I saw her at the World Series last year for one of those games. That young girl has done so many cool events, and it's all got to do with that marvelous prosthetic hand that came from our UNLV Engineering Department.
It's an international story. UNLV should be super proud, and I think it is. And anything that we can do to bolster that knowledge and to get more people to look at that one project alone, not only did it change the life of this little girl, from what I understand and what I heard, it has changed how prosthetics are done, with them being 3D printed now and different aspects of it. So our little school, UNLV, has changed a whole industry, and that's pretty cool.
Our school, UNLV, is pretty amazing in a lot of ways. We're talking about the 2018 Science and Technology Festival, also known as Sci Fest. You mentioned, Chris Palladino, about the March for Science. I know that's going to be the first event of this year's Sci Fest on April 14th. Dana Holleran, you have to do with the March for Science.
Correct. I'm really looking forward to this. We're trying to make this a fun event, kicking off everything coming after that event. But our message is about evidence policymaking. That's what the goal is. That's how the March for Science started after the Women's March last year, which I jumped immediately on board to help organize it last year. I just thought there was threats happening to our environment, to our health, so I wanted to get really involved. But my background, I am not a scientist. I'm not an educator. I just believe truly that we have to embrace science and bring it to the forefront, bring our community together and rally in support of science, not just about evidence policymaking, but also pulling the people together and showing what we're doing in our community to support science. There's a lot of things that are going to be happening that day. We have 2 climate scientists who are going to be speaking. We have a great speaker lineup from 10 to 1 in the Arts District. We're inviting schools to showcase their work and what they're doing. In fact, there was a student who reached out to me recently from the robotics team. They're going to be there. We have environmental groups there. It's to show what's going on, not just in our government, but also in our community, embracing that and supporting science and STEM education. There's going to be a lot going on that day.
April 14th in the Arts District.
Correct, from 10 to 1. It's going to be fun. The musical group, Visarium, are going to be talking about the technology behind their music and outfits that were created by 3D printing. He's also going to be there to have a booth to show some of the things that he's made with 3D printing. It's fun. Last year we had about 2,500 people show up. This is a global event. Last year overall there was more than 1 million people who participated in the March for Science from Antarctica, Germany, from California, just everywhere all over the globe, all the scientists coming out of their labs, which they typically don't do, right? They're coming out and speaking up about science and why it's important to our everyday lives and our environment. So it's just engaging, advocating, getting everybody involved, embracing it.
Raising awareness.
Yes.
That's what the Las Vegas March for Science is all about on April 14th. Chris Palladino, I'm sure at the March for Science there's going to be brochures and information about the Science and Technology Festival itself.
They're actually letting me get on stage and speak.
Yes!
Yeah, we're going to definitely have a presence there with our brochures, and our goal is to reach as many people as we can. And the one thing I've got to say is that, there's a lot of work that gets done by our committee to get this done and our community partners, but it's our sponsors that allow us to offer this for free. There are a couple venues where you're going to need to pay for parking, but everything else is free, and it's because of the MGM Resorts, NV Energies, Cox Communications, University of Nevada Cooperative Extension has helped us out this year. It's these amazing community partners that allow us to offer this stuff for free, and it's really cool to have them involved.
Beasley Media is here to spread the word, making sure everybody knows about the Science and Technology Festival. So we're starting it off with the March for Science on April 14th, then the CSN Science and Tech Expo. I love that every year, and that's on the 27th. That's when things really get rolling with a lot of events going all the way through May 5th.
May 5th. We have our big expo. For the last 8 years, we've had it at the Cashman Center, and Cashman Center is now closed.
I know.
And with the help of the city, World Market Center is now come on as a sponsor. And we're going to be in that big giant tent down there downtown.
The pavilions, we've been there.
We'll fill up that entire large pavilion this year. We're really super excited about having them on board and having a new venue and seeing what changes we can make.
I got to wonder, Chris Palladino, how much of your year do you spend planning out the next Sci Fest?
It's half my job. I am also the director of communications for the Las Vegas Natural History Museum, so I have 2 pretty cool jobs wrapped in one, but it takes a good 6 months to get this up and running, and I already have speakers planned for 2020, so we're pretty excited about moving forward. It's going to get bigger and bigger every year.
Okay, here's the hardest question for you. Out of all the 45 events, do you have a favorite?
That's just not fair. Who's my favorite sponsor sitting right next to me? They're just so different. I think the Science is Everywhere Day is this beautiful chaos to have these 32, 35 events, and I still have more coming in, events all happening in the same day. Going to some of these places and, with the background that I have and what I do for a living, seeing these organizations open up and showing off their science is really, really cool. And the speaker events are a little subdued during the week, and some of them are kind of geared to an older audience, away from the children, more into the parents. And that's really cool to see adults learn, to see lifetime learners. And then going into the expo, 100,000 square feet, 200 exhibitors. And the great part about the expo is it's not a venue where you just hand out stuff and market your company. Part of the contract to be in the expo is you have to have something hands-on, science-y at your table. And it's just wonderful to see these kids come in and get to climb rock walls and see how hot air balloons work and see virtual reality and see robots and everything else that goes on. To answer your question, I do not have a favorite. I will refuse to answer that question for you.
I think that I'll narrow it down for you, Chris, and I'll just say Science is Everywhere Day would be like the best day of Sci Fest.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, see?
It's pretty cool.
We agree on that. It's all good. Chris Palladino with the 2018 Science and Technology Festival. We always ask as part of Talking Solutions, what can we do to help you?
You just come out and check it out. We have some very good opportunities coming up in the future that depend on our attendance. We have an amazing track record of about 20% year-over-year growth that is really cool. We'll hit 50,000 people this year at least. I would love to hit 100,000 people this year. We have the capacity to do so. Just come out and support it. Share what you learned, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to touch things. Don't be afraid to find out how things work. Just come be a part of it.
It is the 2018 Science and Technology Festival, April 14th being the Las Vegas March for Science. Stuff going on all the way through Cinco de Mayo on May 5th when we wrap things up. Now, Maria Gotti with MGM Resorts, same question for you. What can we do to help you?
It's about sharing the information, making sure that families, people, teachers, students know that this is available to them and it's free. You only get a chance to see the Bellagio fountains back of the house once a year. We don't open it up any other time. But beyond that, going to Mandalay Bay, learning about what it takes to take care of those amazing creatures we have, sharks and all the wildlife we have there, or the dolphin habitat. Spending some time and understanding how you take care of them, or understanding the volcano, the Mirage. That stuff is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Or even just the science in building that amazing conservatory at Bellagio. All those plants.
My favorite
all
place.
All that technology to make those water spouts do crazy stuff while you walk around is just incredible. Science is definitely everywhere. Our company has an entire building full of IT people, just to put something into perspective, thousands of them. And wouldn't it be wonderful that our kids become the people that sit in those buildings and advance our city, our state? We just need to give them what they need so they can grow and become successful Nevadans.
We just need to inspire them.
Yes, we do need to inspire them.
The conservatory is the epitome of not understanding that there's science everywhere. I went last year to the events and was blown away. If you walk through, you say, oh, this is pretty, and yeah, there's plants and stuff like that. The amount of science that it takes to run that place is immense, and I think would rival some of the things that Kevin does at Envy Energy. It really is really super cool.
Conservatory is the one place everybody has to go several times a year, and it's always perfect.
Absolutely perfect every time.
Kevin Geraghty with Envy Energy. You know I'm going to ask, what can we do to help you?
Keep doing what you're doing. I think we have to make sure our community understands that this is a critical sustainability issue for us, and we should be excited about where Southern Nevada can head to. We have great universities. We just added a medical school, and those things are must-have. So many people that, like me, I became an empty nester, and that's the reason I got involved in the science technology. I've got 4 STEMers that have gone out into the world, and unfortunately, a lot of them find ways to go to schools away from Southern Nevada, and we got to make sure people understand that we have great schools, great opportunities, great jobs, great prospects in our community, and it's really a must-have for our community to be vibrant, to be sustainable, to continue to live in this desert in the way we do. And so just keep doing the work that you do to have the discussions around the solutions to make our communities better.
No doubt. That's what we're here for, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Also, Dana Holleran with March for Science. What can we do to help you?
We're doing it right now. Just getting the word out, engaging the community to get involved in this event. It's a pretty big event, and we've got a lot of great things happening, initiatives and campaigns that we're incorporating, just engaging the audience to what we're doing in the community science related. It is around us. It's everywhere. So we want to bring that to the forefront, and we want our students to have a table there to show what they're doing and have a connection with the audience. That there are great things going on in our community, helping advocate for science and why we need this.
The Science and Technology Festival, of course, kicking off with your event, Dana, on April 14th, the March for Science in the Arts District downtown.
And if I can mention, too, great speakers that are lined up to talk about renewable energy and sustainability and jobs that are available.
Great way to start off this year's Sci Fest. Chris Palladino, is there anything I'm forgetting?
I'm holding this up for you.
That's my favorite brochure. It's got all kinds of good stuff in it.
We print out 500,000 of these, and with our partnership with CCSD, we'll deliver them to every school, public and private, in Southern Nevada, and every child will be given this brochure that has a breakdown of all the events, has information on the website, has information information about our partners and our sponsors. So go in your kids' backpacks. That's where our biggest leak is. They get to the kids and they die in the backpacks. So go in the kids' backpacks, look for the white folder. It says get your science on, and that will have all the information, or www.scifest.vegas, or on our Facebook page.
Believe me, it's not just kids who are excited by what is inside that Get Your Science On folder for Sci Fest.
Absolutely.
Anybody could be excited by that. Well, like I said in the beginning, the only downside about having everybody in here for Talking Solutions to discuss Sci Fest for this year is the fact that there's so much going on, we can't cover it all. But it's all in the brochure. It's all on the website.
Absolutely.
I'll make sure the links and everything, including a podcast of our discussion today, are on the Talking Solutions Facebook page. Chris Palladino in charge of this whole thing, Sci Fest, and from our Las Vegas Natural History Museum. Also want to say thank you to Maria Gotti with MGM Resorts, Kevin Geraghty with NV Energy, and Dana Holleran with the March for Science. Thank you so much for coming in to join us today on Talking Solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking Solutions is a production of the Community Relations Department here at Beasley Media Group Las Vegas. Get more information on today's topic on our Talking Solutions page on Facebook, where you will also find links and a podcast of today's show. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.